It's becoming awful hard to be a celebrity. After all, you have to act so awfully to be one. And that's why Americans are done with Tinseltown, saying goodbye to the movie stars who have fallen far from where they once were. Today, we'll tell you what the latest news is that indicates audiences are leaving not only the Oscars, but the entire celebrity worship culture and economic system. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's what we do every single day right here on the Pro Channel. Folks, thank you for coming our way. It looks now like the Billie Eilishes of the world, the Rachel Zeglers, have screwed over their industry so badly people don't even care to hear what they have to say. What a change from the glorious days of Tinseltown when the glitz and the glamour was all the clamor of the US of A. Today, as we dive in, click the like button, drop a comment down below, join a community dialogue, and if you'd like more info just like this kind of stuff, considering checking out all the fuss we have over at the Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/WDW Pro. Folks, they're keeping the Oscars ratings hidden so far. It's been a little bit since the Oscars happened, and still no big reveal of how well they're doing. Usually the next morning, we've got Nielsen out there saying, oh, you won't believe how many tuned in. Now, folks are beginning to wonder what's going on with celebrities and celebrity worship culture. Kirsten Fleming from the New York Post says, face it, Hollywood, you're boring. Viewers with your self-righteous, out of touch, navel-gazing Oscars, and dare I say, Kirsten, they're also on stolen land. How dare they?
I haven't heard navel-gazing in a long time.
Well, stop gazing at it. It's back out of vogue. In his Oscars tribute to slain director Rob Reiner on Sunday, Billy Crystal referenced some of his old friends' most iconic movies. From Spinal Tap to The Princess Bride to A Few Good Men, invoking the star and most famous line from that 1992 classic. And Jack Nicholson warned us, you can't handle the truth, which is simply what we all want today. The line was meant, says the author, as a jab at the Trump administration, which is really, you know, when you're doing an in memoriam, you really want to get politics in there. But that's the problem with Hollywood, right? They can't stop themselves. And who is Conan? Well, Conan's the guy who, when Rob Reiner and Nick Reiner, the son who allegedly deleted him, were having an argument at his Christmas party hours before the deletion happened. Conan O'Brien is allegedly, according to sources, the guy who said, don't call the police, not at my party. And yet they're all there. They're all there. They're all celebrating on stage. For a group of people who both devoted to make-believe, yet supposedly hungry for the truth, here's one that Hollywood stubbornly refuses to admit itself. Outside of Los Angeles' Dolby Theater, no one gives a rat's behind about 75% of what goes on at the Oscars. The normie audience at home wants to see glamorous A-listers in their red carpet splendor. They want to laugh at a dazzling monologue. They want showbiz, baby. Instead, the Oscars increasingly delivers, Tom, your favorite, navel-gazing slop. Thanks to a glut of behind-the-scenes awards, do we really need to know who is tops at sound editing or visual effects, or the newest category watering down the show's entertainment value, best achievement in casting, which, as you all know, is going to be required to be as diverse as possible. Hey, you know, that's just the way it goes. It took 5 actors, including Gwyneth Paltrow, who lost me when she used the empty words lived experience, to introduce the nominees. Also slowing things down, cinematographer Autumn Gerald Arkapaw, oh boy, celebrating her win as the first female recipient by urging every woman in the room to stand up because she wouldn't be there without them. Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio's 27-year-old model girlfriend was totally integral to that. But that's the way it's been, folks, and who can forget Billie Eilish telling you from her mansion, her multi-million-dollar mansion, that you're all on stolen land and you don't need walls. Behind her walled-in mansion, of course. Now, how bad is it? We don't have any ratings coming out from the Oscars so far. And guess what else? There's more proof that celebrity worship culture is coming to an end. Paul Grine out of Billboard says Access Hollywood canceled after a 30-year run. But what's most amazing about this, folks, is the date on it. Look at it, 3/13/2026, March 13th. Access Hollywood could not even live long enough to cover the Oscars before it went kaput. They just canceled it anyway before then. They said, you know what? There's no need. And we love Mario Lopez. Mr. Lopez, you're cool with us. It's not his fault. It's the celebrity's fault. Folks, you can go read this over on Billboard, but Access Hollywood and Access Daily canceled Friday, March 13th. No longer part of covering celebrities. Why? Because I believe that celebrities are no longer interesting to Americans and to the world. They're not movie stars anymore because they're so down to earth, they're beneath us. Carol, I go to you first on this one. Celebrities losing their stature. People now look at them and kind of cringe. And I got to say, I think the glitz and glamour of Tinseltown is gone. And not just the culture, but the business, the the infrastructure built around worshiping these people on magazine covers kind of dying, kind of going away.
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. Like the introduction of social media really kind of took away that barrier that used to be present. So that way the celebrities weren't coming out and just saying willy-nilly whatever they wanted. And I was actually looking up the last time I was actually impressed with any kind of award ceremony. And I had to do, it was back in like, it was 5 years ago. It was Neil Patrick Harris when he was doing the 2013 Tony Awards. And that was just a giant musical, right? And these days, it doesn't really feel like that. And most of the time, we feel like certain films should get lifted up, and they're not because of whatever politics are going on in Hollywood. I mean, how long did it take, like Leonardo DiCaprio, to get something after he'd been working so hard forever? And it's just, I don't know. Like the thing that I think that speaks loudly on its own is the fact that the award ceremony came and went, and I had forgotten about it. I had zero interest in it, because I also had zero interest in anything that was coming out at this time as well. It's just, it's all boring to me. I'd rather go watch somebody's indie film than some of the stuff the studios are coming out.
I think you're exactly right. I also think the preening is getting people to leave their TV screens. And Tom, I'll show you this. If we go to the New York Post here, towards the end of the article, there's something that really is revealing about how Hollywood functions. It says, presenting the award for Best International Feature Film. Let me go right here. Presenting the award for Best International Feature Film. Bardem smugly barked his favorite utterly meaningless phrase, free Palestine. He forgot to add the terrorist organization attached to that. It says, but seriously, for all the hashtag ice out accessories, there was not a single word at the Oscars, right? The glitz and glamour of Hollywood didn't have a single moment, not a single word for the brave Iranian women's soccer team, who sadly face a life or death decision of whether or to return home to a brutal regime. There's Tom, I don't know if you know of this. There's the soccer team is in Australia, and they're trying to get asylum so they don't have to return to Iran under the control of the dystopian mullahs over there, the apocalyptic mullahs. And some of the women have decided they are going to return to Iran because they're worried their families are going to be killed if they don't go back. It's very North Korean-esque. So Tom, the Oscars didn't have time to talk about them. They didn't have time to put a spotlight on them. They don't have time to defend, the people who are being wiped out in the world. It's just the narratives that drive Americans crazy because it's political all the time. And Hollywood politics is a divisive industry.
It's an ongoing thing. So until it's over, they can't make the movie about it. Then they could pat themselves on the back for bringing it to everybody's attention. See? Oh,
yes. Yes. Afterwards. That's a good point.
After the fact, when nothing can be done about it now, But yeah, like, honestly, I caught half of the show because I couldn't find the show because I knew it was supposed to be streaming, but the way Disney Plus is set up, you couldn't get to it through Disney Plus. You actually had to go through the Hulu app to watch it live. So if you didn't have, network TV or anything to watch it on. So I missed like half the show, but I did notice that like, it felt like they were given the orders not to bring up Trump's name.
Right. Just not his name, but they could be divisive in another.
Exactly. They were dancing around it left and right. And then you had that little moment because otherwise I have a feeling that they got a memo saying no Trump, try to keep it non-political. And at the end of the day, it was one of the most boring Oscars I'd ever seen in my life. And I've seen almost every Oscar since I've been born, and even clips and stuff from older Oscars, so like they've lost the narrative. I think they totally forgot what the Oscars was all about. They got really pretentious and up their own butts. They forgot that the Oscars always kind of used to be this loose night where everybody kind of roasted each other and had fun with the idea that they get to play pretend for a living, right? You'd get a bunch of drunk celebrities together. They'd make a few jokes, make fun of each other. They had a blast. We got to hear some good music. Most of the movies that were nominated, you actually heard of or seen. In this case, ever since the 90s, it's been just this downward slope. And it started with Harvey Weinstein. And I call it English Patient Zero. And ever since then, the award show has been nothing but quote unquote prestigious pictures that nobody goes to see. And unless the occasional Titanic or Lord of the Rings won, it was always a Weinstein Miramax film that would win because he would buy out basically all the advertising he could and shove it down the city's throat until they had no choice but to vote for it. And just from there, you pile on the politics where the Oscars already kind of had a touchy history with politics when it comes to certain people saying things or doing things at the show, when people say like, this is not the time for that, right? It used to be that way. If somebody tried to bring up a political thing at the Oscars, 9 times out of 10, the press and the rest of the audience would kind of turn against them. But now it's almost like they're applauded when they do it. I miss the days when they would just quietly, support something by just wearing a pin, and we didn't have to hear all about it 24 times, So I think they were given marching orders not to mention Trump or get too political. But yeah, I saw a lot of the celebrities dancing around it as best they could, and Javier just kind of let it fly. So yeah, and there was a few unscripted moments you could tell.
Sure. Tom, I thought it was one of the most woke Oscars or award shows I've ever seen.
It was there was something about it. It was almost like they weren't trying to call attention to it, but at the same time, it was pretty blatant in your face. Like, I mean, I've been calling it out for months that Sinners was basically From Dusk Till Dawn, just the black version. And everybody's like, how dare you? It's like, no, it's, I've even seen the meme that, basically Quentin Tarantino won for best original screenplay. Because, he wrote From Dusk Till Dawn. So, I mean, you had that. Then you had the movie that did win, which was the uber political Leonardo DiCaprio film, right? So has anybody seen this movie? I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it, but I've heard it's like basically,
it's a dream of hurting conservatives. That's what it is. It's literally a dream that Hollywood has about harming more than half the country. Now, I want to go to your point though, Tom, because there has been a huge change, and I think this says why Americans are sick and tired of celebrities. If we go to Deadline right now, I want to pull up the list of winners, and what you're going to find out is that going back in time, I know they're artsy fartsies, but you still have heard of them, okay? And as we get closer to today, you're going to see something change. So the winner for Best Picture from the Oscars, we're going to go on the list: 2000, American Beauty; 2001, Gladiator; 2002, A Beautiful Mind; 2003, Chicago; 2004, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. You've got 2005, $1 Million Baby; 2006, Crash. You got 2007, The Departed. You got 2008, No Country for Old Men; 2009, Slumdog Millionaire; 2010, The Hurt Locker; 2011, The King's Speech; 2012, The Artist. 2013, Argo, great film. 2014, 12 Years a Slave. You're going to start seeing a switch here, folks.
Yep.
2015, Birdman. 2016, Spotlight. 2017, Moonlight. 2018, The Shape of Water.
I'll tell you what The Shape of Water is, whatever container you put it in.
2019, Green Book. 2020, Parasite. 2021, Nomadland. 2022, Coda. 2023, Everything Everywhere All at Once. 2024, Oppenheimer. Okay, Oppenheimer. 2025, Anora. And of course, 2026, The Dream of Hurting Conservatives. What we see here, Tom, is you're exactly right. The closer we get to today, the less films anybody has ever seen and the less relevant they are. It's not just that they're artsy farts anymore. They're actually politically motivated. They're ideologically captured, and they are not in alignment with what the market wants at all.
Yeah.
Andre,
I mean, this movie was a flop, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it's a flop.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a couple of things to this. One thing is it's more politicized, but at the same time, you also have the death of monoculture that comes into it, because things really start to get off the rails. I mean, you have many things happening at once. Streaming is a big thing here, because it used to be that most people would watch the same movies, the same TV series. You would know all of these cultural stuff that's happening, and you could have the water cooler talk. Whereas now you have, for the last 10 years or so, had a balkanization of culture, by which I do not mean that culture starts speaking Yugoslavian, but that it gets fractured and split apart, and people start following their own little things as the algorithms make it to them. So you start listening to the music that you like, you see the movies and the streams that you like. That's what comes up in your Netflix and other streamer of choice things, which means that everyone increasingly are part of bubbles, different kinds of bubbles, even when it comes to entertainment, which means that Hollywood, they are in their own bubble and they think this is what everyone sees. But in reality, what happens is that fewer and fewer people outside are familiar with what's big in that bubble because they have their own bubble of stuff that they're listening to, which is why you can have artists and songs that have millions and millions and millions of views, and no one has heard about it other than that.
Well, here's another thing about that, Andre.
Incredible, but that's going on. So that's part of the reason why you have like these woke things, but at the same time, these are the biggest things in these circles where decisions are made, but people outside have no clue because there's no monoculture anymore.
Here's the other thing, Andre. So right now, Hollywood has a chance for a mini renaissance this March and April. I'm calling it Project Hail Mario because Project Hail Mary is phenomenal. Just saw it the other day with LW Ghost in the theater. Reviewed it, gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It's a fantastic movie. I saw Paul Chatto give his review, says it's fantastic. Hollywood is saying nothing about it because it's not woke. It's optimistic. It's not cynical. It's happy. It's pro-human.
It has science in it. Science is hard for Hollywood.
Science is hard for Hollywood. They don't. It's not about fifis necessarily, especially not about oppressed fifis. And millionaires
in it.
Millionaires need their oppressed fifis, Caro. They really do.
Yeah, well, if you read the book, it's got lots of fifis in it, but it's told like I think the book is art. I really do like it. Andy Weir gets like some slack for the Artemis book that he wrote. But I think the one thing that is really definitely in Andy Weir's toolkit that makes him a strong writer is that the science that he creates in his stories is also the antagonist of the story. And I think Hollywood has a hard time wrapping their mind around that because they want a person that they can overcome, right? But
Sure.
the idea that it's something at an intellectual level, like kind of like confounds them a little bit. And they're like, well, we've never really done that very often, so we don't like it.
Well, Chris Lord and Phil Miller have knocked it out of the park with this one, Caro. And you know, it's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's a really good movie. It harkens back to Spielberg, and you've got that, and you got Mario at the same time coming out. We're looking at maybe 1/7 of the entire year's box office happening over the next few weeks out of those two films just by themselves. But Hollywood can't gather themselves up to celebrate it. And so you go to the Oscars, and what are they doing? They're celebrating one battle after another. They're celebrating stuff that is offensive to half the country or more, maybe offensive to 70%. And they can't spend a minute to say, you know what? We got a chance to revive ourselves, because I don't think they care. I think the old farts in Hollywood are kicking the ladder out behind them and saying, screw it, burn it down. We got what we wanted, and we're gonna sacrifice this on the altar of politics.
It reminds me of that one, the principal from The Simpsons who was like, am I wrong or are the children wrong? And he was like, no, the children are wrong. It's like, well, the children are the things that are paying for your movie, so maybe you should listen just a little bit.
That's right. That's right.
I know studios hate that because you have writers and artists who are just like, I just want to create. And then you have people like me like, that's cool, but I have market research that we should take into account. It's like, screw your market research. It gets in the way of my art. And I was like, bro, do you want to sell or not? Like,
well, when you say screw market research, what you're really saying is screw the consumer, right?
Yes.
That's the problem. Andre, any final thoughts on this one and the decline of celebrity interest?
They did it to themselves.
Here we go. He's going to blame it on Zegler again. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you need some kind of mystery and magic, right? And this is also part of what's been going on with social media. You now have unprecedented access to the stars. They have platforms. So now they get put their uninformed opinions on matters where they're not qualified to have one 24/7. And it just takes away the magic. They rather than become something magical and something unifying for everyone, become something divisive, which is also just adds to this whole death of monoculture thing. Because you can't even have your fantasy of your stars, and you're no longer able to see them as just actors taking on different roles. Now they have baggage from the real life coming into it. They did this. I mean, all of Hollywood, all of entertainment, they wrecked it themselves. And I don't think they meant for that to happen. I think they really honestly thought that we are going to educate the world in our enlightened ways. And the content that we're using is so popular with everyone that it's such the perfect platform. We're going to change the world now. No, you just ruined your platform. You didn't change hearts and minds of anyone.
No, the only thing Hollywood has ever really done is brought attention to the AIDS epidemic. And ever since then, they have felt like they've been ahead of the curve when, no, what Andre said is true. They have never been ahead of the curve. If anything, they're always a year or two behind the curve. Yeah. And that's why whenever anything would hit, you would get 20 copycats. Because as William Goldman said, no one knows nothing in Hollywood, right? So until something's a hit, then they're like, get me one of those. That's when they go, that's usually the case. So stuff like this, it's just a political, just to push their shit. Anyway.
Put this baby to bed. This video is over. Turn off the lights, but not quite yet, folks, because we do ask one final thing before we say goodbye, and that is, would you consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Also greatly appreciated. Anytime you would like to share this out on your favorite social media platforms, well, we would love that. And we'd also love to hear your thoughts. Folks, drop a comment down below and use that beautiful mind of yours. If you would not mind, we'd love to know what you're thinking. Also, if you would like to become a member of the channel, it's as simple as clicking the join button. It is the price of a soda per month, and you'll gain access to all kinds of new, cool, exclusive information. Folks, until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the video. Remember, this Wednesday is the Disney shareholders meeting. Coverage live on the Pro Channel begins at 10 a.m. this Wednesday. Also, friends, if you'd like to join us for MegaCon, we'll have a booth set up for you to join. Info on the screen. Come see Marvin, Lorne, and maybe one more at MegaCon, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Friday. We'll see you. Thanks for being here. You're the Gigawatts.